Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to In the Bag. I'm Robbie, joined as always by ABB.
I'm Brad. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode. Good to see you, Robbie.
Hi.
I was commenting, for those of you watching video, they'll see your fresh new cut. You know, when I first started to know you, when I didn't really know you, but I started watching you had the long hair.
Yeah.
And I do think bald Robbie or shaved head Robbie is my favorite version of Robbie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. There's times, you know, it all goes back to the Power Rangers. And I remember Tommy from the Power Rangers and growing up and being like, hey, that is so cool. But my parents put me in like a little private school growing up, and so I remember for guys, rule was you could not have hair touching your collar.
Interesting.
So no one had long hair. We weren't allowed to have facial hair or anything like that. So obviously we rebelled in what ways we could. And as soon as most graduates from my high school ended up growing a beard and trying to grow their hair out like for the first few years of college. And so
that makes sense.
Tried, didn't work, and then got to my adult life and had to dye it green for a youth ministry thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I shaved that off, I was like, let's do it. Let's just send it, dude. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what we did. And
I rocked that cut one time, Robbie. I'll have to send you a picture.
Come on.
Kimberly said it like drew out people. This was also the year that there's a guy on the beach that wanted to fight me just because I was me. I don't know.
Come on.
But she said, there's something about you that's very intimidating with no hair and the long beard and the tattoos, and I think people just want to fight you or they're scared of you, one of the two. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. But no, I'm excited. We were talking about it before, Robbie, but Foundation does like team building things. We try to do it once a month. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but mostly we'll actually be doing one when you're up here, Robbie, which is very fun.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so we're supposed to have a cookout at my house, but I also have a course on my property and my neighbor's property. And I've spent the last couple of days trimming up the property. I've actually painted OB. I painted OB with spray paint and made some creative OB. Put out temporary tee boxes for everything. So, but it's supposed to thunderstorm at the exact window that we're supposed to have this thing. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated next week. Yeah. I'll let you know how it went next week. Did it happen? Or did it get postponed? Or did, I think last time I rearranged my course a little bit, but I think Trevor has the course record at my house.
Okay.
I think. And it was only like 4 or 5 under, I think, if I recall. Maybe it was more. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe it was like 10. It was 10. It was 10. So I made it harder. It's going to be miserable for me, but I just don't want them to score double digits again.
Hey, and respect. You gotta welcome to the problem of the Pro Tour, where they have to they got to figure out how to make these courses longer, harder, all of the things. So no, that's awesome. The weather has been, I was trying to make plans with people yesterday to possibly go play, because at this point I'm just trying to get as many reps of throwing a disc out in the course versus into my net, so that I can kind of sort of translate the feeling between the two. Yeah. And so we had made plans to go play tomorrow afternoon, and rain was supposed to go like 3 to 4. And then we were supposed to be clear after everyone get off work. And nope, it started downpouring at like 1 o'clock and just did not let up. But then, so we at 4:20, we're talking and we're like, yeah, it doesn't seem good. And then we all decided, okay, cool. Everyone's just going to take showers and, we'll hang out this evening and do chill stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as people started popping out of showers, the rain just stopped. It's like,
yeah, of course. That's how it goes.
Cool.
Oh, I forgot to mention, too, I played on Sunday. That was Father's Day. Also, happy first Father's Day to you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I did not text you, and I feel really bad about that.
No,
and I'm very
all
sorry.
Good, dude. Happy Father's Day to
you. Thank you. But so Sunday, I just wanted kind of a chill day, and we went to play disc golf, because we don't get to play a whole lot anymore, but Zeke my 2-year-old is getting a little bit more mobile and kind of enjoys going out and throwing a little bit, and he'll follow us along now. So we went to play. We played Fallen Creek Yellows with my buddy Cal. Shout out Cal. And I was on a tear. I was feeling really good about my game that day. just based on some of the tips you've given me, I've really increased my driving distance, and now I'm starting to like hone it in on some accuracy. So I'm starting to see like a few. So Fallen Creek Yellows, we had to stop on hole 11 because it was, or we finished hole 11. No. Yeah, we finished hole 11. We were on hole 12. And it was just like pouring down the rain. We were trying to play in the rain, and then it started lightning. We're like, and you know, we're on the back 10 of Yellows at Falling Creek. We're like a mile away from the parking lot at this point. So we're like, we should probably get back before this gets worse.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was only 2 over after 11 holes at Fallen Creek Yellows.
Let's go, dude. That's great.
And I threw a couple like second shots on a couple holes. I obviously counted my first ones, but I threw a couple second shots with like, hey, maybe I should have done this now with my new throw. And like, I probably could have gained both of those strokes back pretty easily choosing the right disc now. So I don't know, gives me some hope. I've been playing some pretty poor disc golf, and I had a good putting league week this week. So I think I'm creeping up. I'm walking up the stairs to the upper third. Hopefully, that's where I feel like it's been a long time. I almost quit disc golf last week, so it's good. It's good that we're here.
Hi. You got to. You got the highs and lows. The
Yeah,
highs
you
wouldn't
gotta go
feel
to the
so
bottom.
good if the lows weren't if they didn't exist.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a story, but I had to tell that story. So for all you out there is hope.
Yeah.
If I can do it, you definitely can do it.
Come on, people. Well, speaking of some people that are listening and they're out there trying to do it, we have our speed bag look through. So our first person that we're looking at today, comments from the previous video, is we are looking at Bad Luck Brian. So Brad, do you want to give a breakdown and see what Brian can work on?
Yeah. So this is Bad Luck Ryan.
Ryan,
So I
I keep doing this. I keep doing this.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Bad Luck Ryan. So right now, Ryan, you have See, I just did it. Ryan, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have 11 disc bag. It looks like. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11 disc bag. Looks like you putt with a Mimic. Or no, Wizard. I'm sorry. So I'm seeing a couple areas that you can probably just put a disc in right away and have use for it. You definitely have like kind of like this chasm in like that overstable mid-range category. I see that you do have a harp, which I'm assuming is kind of like your zone, like your approach type disc. So I don't know if you're just throwing that on backhand and forehand too as like that overstable mid-range, if you will. But I think you might see, it looks like you throw about 300, 350 on backhand. You don't have much of a forehand. So I think an overstable mid-range might do wonders for you, because there is a gap even if you're using the harp. The harp doesn't have like a ton of glide, so between the harp and like the bear for that like overstable like disc choice in your bag, I think you could really like, I mean, you could go Bobcat, you could go Quake, you could go Rock 3, you could go, I mean, there's tons of options for you for that slot. But I think MD4 might be filthy in that slot as well. So I think that would be one place that I go. I'm noticing you have like an Underworld, which is like your understable fairway, your Bear, which is your overstable fairway, and then the Flare, which is like really overstable, kind of like your Raptor, Firebird kind of thing. And you don't have anything really up until the Sorcerer at a 13 speed. So we all know that disc probably isn't really a 13 speed. It's probably more like a 11.5 or 12 speed, in my opinion. But it is still overstable, and I don't know if it's beat in or not. I didn't really look at the condition of the disc, but no, it looks pretty new, honestly.
Yeah, but it does have a note that says flight numbers are alive, because anyone that's thrown a Sorcerer knows that is not how it flies.
Yeah, but I still think, like, Ryan, what does a trail do for you, or a Grace versus like that Sorcerer? I think you might have some cheat code distance or the easy distance with like a trail or something. Or a Grace in your bag. I mean, the Grace has like unlocked something like completely new for me. And you know, I think we probably have a very similar game. I have more distance on my forehand, but that's fine. I mean, backhand wise though, we're about in the same ballpark. So I think that definitely that like, or even a Gorgon, neutral to slightly flippy 10 or 11 speed might do you wonders. So that's my thoughts, Robbie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the biggest thing to me was knowing the sorcerer was on the flippier side, longer distance. I was looking at a Shadowfax was one of my
Oh, that's
top
a good one.
choices
Yeah.
for that spot because it's just that 9-speed distance, and I think if you're liking the bear, push with a nice fade for 300-foot shot. I think that it would give you easier distance push. Just looking on that 300 350 range. So no, I think it's great suggestions. So for the next bag, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Brad. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 223.
111.
111, the 111, and I'm going to go with bag and number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bloyd. Okay. It is Bloyd. Bloyd. So,
All right, looking.
and has a couple bags in there, but we're
Yep.
going with his BP2.
Okay, got it.
So, Bloyd, you got a lot of discs in here. I mean, certainly more than Ryan, old bad luck Ryan. But yeah, let's see. I like the putter setup a lot. You got a Berg in there, so that's something. Crystal Flex Zone, best zones out there besides the ones with good tops. Envy Proxy, that feels good. I like that you have an okay, so P2X that I'm imagining we're putting with the D-line Flex to P2Xs, and then you have a Glow Envy and a Glow Proxy. Interesting. And then you have a 750 A2 and a Crystal Flex Zone and a Pyro. So that section to me feels really crowded just because your A2, especially in the 750, I'm imagining is going to be really beefy. So you would think like, okay, that's going to be my like overstable, my Justice, or the Quake's probably not even overstable enough to describe something like that, right? Like we're thinking Deflector, that like really overstable option. But then you also have a Pyro sitting right there. So I think that spot probably a little congested, could pull something out of it. And then I see that you love the Crave. You got 2 different Craves in the bags, a Fission that's a little flippier and a Neutron. And then you got the Athena. So the mold minimalization you've got down to a T. I like the Wraiths setup on the top. You got 4 Wraiths in the bag, including a DX Wraith. That's sick, dude. I love that. And then a Firebird. So yeah, I would say that overall, if I were to put something in there, I would put something like a 8-speed flippy something or other, just because that DX Wraith, I think that DX Wraith is probably really great. The only problem I have with a base plastic distance driver is just that rim, you hit 1 or 2 trees trying to throw it hard and far, because if you're throwing it, you're going to be throwing it with power. Then the odds of it getting just demolished trying to hit a turnover in the woods, and boom, you just smash into a tree. Like you miss your line slightly, hit first available, that disc is shot. So I would love to see something like an Underworld to pull one out of Ryan's bag. And if you don't want to go that flippy, then I would say like a Sting, or depending on your game, you like the neutrality of the Crave. I think you could a Mantis, maybe really good.
Mantis would be fun.
So I would just look at something in that. And when
FD?
you're looking at your chart, you see where the gap is, and I don't think you need to fill all the way across that gap, because if your Craves are working for you, or your Athenas probably are pretty comfort disc, I would just pick something in that understable side, thinking for like, okay, what if my Crave doesn't have enough push, and I don't want to jump all the way up to a Wraith?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big jump. So something in the 8 or 9 speed, neutral to understable category, I think could be really big for you.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I'll make a assumption. We're either playing in a little bit of elevation, or you're releasing a little on like the Annie side, if I had to guess, at that throwing distance. Do you think so, Robbie, or no?
I could go either way with it. The fact that the Proxy is in Eclipse as well as the Envy being in Eclipse, That one throws me for a little bit of a loop, but then we also have like a detour and we have fission craves in the bag. And I just think if you're throwing on Hyzer, a fission crave doesn't stand a chance, especially a 164 gram fission crave. But
we're just really heavy on the overstable side.
yeah, there are definitely a lot of, but if they were at elevation, I would think they would be a lot more neutral, because all of the overstable stuff would be. Yeah. So I definitely could see a world that we're throwing flat to Annie. And that
Bloyd, comment
really
below
like
if you're listening. I'm just curious, and we're not judging. I'm just curious. Like, I know some people just like more overstable discs, and also maybe a course thing, right? There might be a lot of need for a bunch of big Hyzers, and maybe that is the play as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, big announcement. Nebula's back in my bag, Robbie. It's the disc I've been looking for this whole time.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was, and I just abandoned it, and I should have never abandoned it. So, sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Just thought about it.
Hey, that's a throwback. I remember Brad's all about it, and then they released it for like a Ledgestone drop, and you were like, "It's here! Finally, we got access to him again."
Yeah, and I immediately took it out. It's like when I can get it, I just take it out.
Yeah,
but Bloyd, comment. Let us know. Is it just like you like throwing Hyzers? You like overstable? Are they not as overstable as they seem for you? But to me, you're modifying the Wraith flight number, so I feel like maybe you would do that with these other ones. So just curious. That's all. We can all learn from each other.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to wrap up our speed bag draft in the section. So we are moving on to questions, ladies and gentlemen. And we're starting out with Brandon from Ohio. That's the name that he submitted. And I like that. I like that because if there was another Brandon, you wouldn't know. Yeah, but there may only be one Brandon in Idaho.
Yeah. So, Idaho, you said Brandon from Ohio first.
Oh, no. Okay. See, there you go. Even
Brandon
more specifics.
Ohio, this is not for you.
This is Brandon, not for Ohio, heartbreaker. Sorry. That is tough for you.
Brandon, you didn't submit a question, Brandon from Ohio. This is really not on us. It's on you.
Yeah. It could have been you.
Yeah. But you were just that close, one state away.
Man.
Not geographically, but the name.
But it's like, oh no.
No, I know where Ohio is. I'm from there. I also know where Idaho is.
Side tangent, there's this little short form trend right now where it's like two people sitting there and then they'll be like, all right, 1, 2, 3. And then one person says a letter and then the other person says a letter. And you have to come up with a word that starts with the first letter, ends with the second letter. And you have 3 lives. So first person to like come up with a word takes a life from the other person. Mm-hmm. And I have these 2 guys that I love watching. They're really fun. Mm-hmm. But man, when you start recording and saying stuff on the internet, it is crazy how fast we look dumb because they're like, I think one of them said like circuit one time. They were like CT circuit. And they were like, doesn't that start with an S? Are you sure that starts with a C? Like, it's crazy how common knowledge stuff, or like they'll throw out a word and they're like, that can't be a word. Yeah, no, it definitely is. But anywho, so Brandon from Idaho asks, I've pulled out overlapping discs or one sitting there. Took those discs and some duplicates to make a friend bag. Yesterday, I used that bag to play around and did well with it. Now I'm thinking about creating a second bag for myself with discs that don't quite match my main bag. Does it sound crazy? No. Short answer.
Sounds like
sounds like a fantastic way to play disc golf. I personally love playing disc golf anytime that I can with not my discs. And that sounds like I hate my discs or that I should put different discs in the bag, but it's just not true. As you become a better player, you're going to get more and more familiar with your discs. So you know what they do, you know what to expect out of them, and you know when you're throwing them good versus you're throwing them bad. Like there's just a lot of knowns when it comes to a very well-built bag. So when you step into, especially if you don't have a ton of courses in your area or you play the same courses over and over again, disc golf, I tell people all the time, my local course, I have nothing but heartbreak waiting for me at George Ward Park in Birmingham. Why? Because I have been playing it since 2012. So there's like 2 or 3 pin positions on the entire course of like 3 to 4 pin positions per that I have not birdied over the past 13 years. So because of that, every time that you go play, it's like, I can't believe I missed this one. Or, oh, I'm going to go for the long pin position and I messed it up. Like, I know I can get this, right? Like, there's that feeling, and it's not I think I could. It is I literally know that I could, and I'm still missing them. So when you get the opportunity to try out new stuff and try out new, it's one of the most refreshing. Ask the guys. That's one of the reasons that the guys' backs move all the time. Just constantly cycling things in and out. But Brad, like, I feel like for you, as someone who doesn't play as much, moving discs in and out of your bag, I know you talked about that pivot round the other day. Still a fun challenge for you as well, I would think.
Oh yeah. No, my favorite thing to do to mix it up is so like me and my 2 older sons, my favorite thing to do with them at our home course, if we only have time to play like a couple holes or like 9 holes or whatever, we'll do bag swaps. So every hole bags rotate. It's just fun. I don't know. Again, it's not like I love the discs in my bag. Like, I'm really happy with where I'm at right now, and things come in and out probably, every once in a while, right? I'm trying to solidify it. It's more I'm trying to solidify my game, but I don't know. There's just something fun about. There's so many discs, and that's why we always I'm always going to speak out against one manufacturer bag unless you're getting paid money to do it. Yeah. Is like there's just so many discs to try, and people like different feeling plastics and like different feeling like. I don't like beads, but Eli likes beads, so he has beaded stuff, and I throw it. I'm like, it's not that bad, and Cohen is a Hyzer flip machine, so and Eli throws on Annie, like he has a very like Trevor-esque throw, and so like their bags are catered to that, and I'm in Cohen's bag and he has a Halo Star Mom, but I'm like, oh, this sounds fun. Let's see what I can do with this, and stuff I would never bag, right? And Cohen I think bags like 5 Lunas. So at various stages of wear, so that's fun to throw, and even their putting putters, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. It's a way of like adding a new element to a round that you've maybe played 100 times, but it feels like a brand new round without like complete chaos. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Crazy Caddy, but you can only throw so many tomahawks before your shoulder starts hurting.
Yeah.
Flashback to last year Hyzer Club. I feel like my shoulder was going to explode.
Yeah. Crazy Caddy really is a fantastic time, but it's definitely, I think great. Bag swaps are always going to be my personal favorite way to shake things up in disc golf.
Well, you're still trying to score on a bag swap. You're just like, you want the chaos from Crazy Ripped Revenge. Yeah. Crazy Caddy. Yeah.
Like, you're walking in with different expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, how do I just keep like my sanity, which is fun, by the way, and rip on each other. Yeah, but if you're doing a true bag swap, we've seen other people as well on here before, and I've talked to people in person where they have a bag for, shout out Tony from Isaiah 117 House. He builds a bag for every manufacturer, which I think is also kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like a 10, 12 disc bag for every manufacturer.
Yeah, we had a guy down here, his name is Colin Shorey, who did a traveling bag thing for a little while. So he was just like, he would roll through local clubs, and if they had any extra bags and things, they would donate the bags, and then he would flush out these bags. And so you'd show up and you would pay like $10, and he would have the bags sitting out, but he wouldn't like show any of the discs inside the bag. So then you would pay $10 and you would get this bag to go play around. He'd like basically do these traveling tournaments for these bags, and some of them were manufacturer specific, some of them were like all flippy discs, some of them were all overstable discs. Like, they were fun little gimmicked bags like that, and really a great time. I was like, dude, this is, if disc golf continues to boom, this is a fantastic business opportunity.
That's a great time.
So, speaking of fantastic opportunities, we have from Andrew Maganelli himself, the guy who is helping bring disc golf content to a new level, because he's already in a great space content wise, but he's just helping all of us feeble disc golf creators learn and be better. So thank you, Andrew. You're the man. But he asked, I came to disc golf after over a decade in Ultimate. But when I started, I was given a lot of overstable discs. While I appreciate my friends maybe giving me too much credit, I think it would have been better off with a different selection. Although I don't need it anymore, could you build a 10-disc bag for a high-level ultimate player who's switching to disc golf? Imagine you can throw a full field backhand and forehand. Also, if you have to give flight numbers to an ultra star, what do you think they'd be? So, 10-disc bag that we're trying to build, but we're leaning on someone who's coming from ultimate, which means they have a Hyzer release.
Yes.
So, want to lean into that. Another thing that I'm going to want to do, speaking from ultimate experience, is understand that the air bounce is going to be like a very real part of their throw. So, because of that, I'm actually going to go, especially if they're coming over at first, I think I'm going to go less fast discs.
For sure.
And actually flesh out maybe 4 mid-ranges or something like that. Instead of the traditional we do 3. So might lower the speed on the bat, because I remember when I first got in, like, if you can throw a pretty solid pole in ultimate, you can smash a mid-range early on. So putting putters, what are we going with? What are you thinking?
Can we step back for a second? He asked to give flight numbers to an ultra star.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to start there? Let's
start there, and then that'll help me build from there. What do you think? I mean, I have my thought here. I'll give my thoughts because they are very uneducated thoughts. I think 1, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 6, -2, 0.
I was pretty close with you. I was going 2, 7, -6, 0.
Okay.
Or not -6, -2, 0. 2, 7, -6, 0. No. 2, 7, -2, 0. Because I think that
I like yours better. I like the 2. I almost went 1.5 to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think about the range versus a like range versus a berg, range versus I just shot a video with my range yesterday, and I was demonstrating some approaching stuff. And there's a couple times the range has come out of my hand, and I was just like, this thing is so fast. It's just zooming right now. I love it. So that is, I think a 2. And then I give it that -2, 0, because I think that if you turn over an ultra star, there's no shot that thing is coming back. No. And the players, like the ultimate players, they can get a lot of cool stuff to happen with it, or because they know how to stall a disc.
Yep, exactly. So, okay, well, I think we're on the same page there. So putting putters wise, to me, they probably want something a little deeper in my mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking deeper on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. This seems like maybe a little wild card. Ooh. Okay. I might say dart.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't. The putting putter is. I'm not as fixated on the putting putter. I could care less. I think that's going to come down to preference and things like that. Like, I mean, you could just throw a classic P2 in their hands and
they're going to be fine, or an AVR, or I mean, Fierce is almost my pick as well. Yeah,
and especially if they're going to throw their putting putter, I think that's something. But in my mind, I'm less concerned. I think that for the throwing putter, I think you could put so here's where I was like, I would go, you're going to want to put a lid of some sort in there for them. So the polecat is unironically something that I think would be fine for an ultimate player, because I think that people hate that like rim of it. But I also, if I were to give like the real answer, it'd be a spore. Yeah, I think the spore feels like one of the best little mini lids.
You have to. They either have to have a glitch or spore, for sure, no, hands down. But yeah, I would go spore probably. Well, I'm gonna disagree with you. Spore is my favorite between the glitch and the spore. But I think. Do you think like the I guess because like Neospore right now, like the really soft ones are really all we have. Do you think that messes with them? They want something a little more firm that they're used to, or do you think that really matters?
I guess that's fair because the spore that I was throwing was not the Neospore. I was throwing one of the Sky Stones, Cloud Stones.
Oh yeah, and those ones
whatever
are
it
sick.
was that
Yeah.
had like a little stiffness to it.
We'll say spore or glitch, depending on what you can get your hands on. But I think glitch, because I think the spore is like a tick more, like has a little more stability to it than a glitch, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now I will say that the perk of a polecat for me, and this is why I might put the polecat in over both, is that I could throw the polecat on a tomahawk. Like I could throw it on a hammer.
True.
And do great things with it. And so I was forehanding my polecat often as a handler in Ultimate. And I just don't think that I'm forehanding a spore. I'm definitely not forehanding a glitch very often. So
Okay.
I might just go polecat straight up to say, and where people messes with them is that depth of the peanut butter jar lid.
Yeah.
And an
right.
Ultra Star, that doesn't matter anyways, because they also are feeling that power grip, deep
Right.
feeling.
Yeah.
So, throwing putters, I think you hit them with a classic Envy as well. So what do we have? Putting putter, throwing putter is the Envy. We have a polecat in there, and then let's go one more like neutral to understable mid.
I think Meteor.
Oh, sorry, putter. I think the Meteor, I'm fine getting there. I think like a neutral, do you just do a Luna and just let him smash a Luna far because you have your Envy and your Luna complement?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Or I was going to say like a premium Fierce.
I could see that. Yeah, how about that? How about we just go with a pure?
There, that's even better.
Yeah, put a premium pure in there.
Yep, that seems like a lot better. Yeah, because they're going to be able to smash that and not turn it over, but they're also going to have that, like, they're going to be on Hyzer and it's not going to hurt them. It's just going to flip up.
Yeah. So, so that's 4 discs. And then moving to mids. So I think mids, we go with like, you go overstable putt and approach. Overstable putt and approach, like a neutral to overstable, like a Rock 3 or a Balance or something like that. Like the Meteor, and then I'd go with something like really flippy,
Like an uplink.
Yeah, uplink. You could go with a Hooligan flip. You could go Stingray for our boy Wes out there.
Oh, and it's like, it's wide diameter too. They'll like that.
Yeah, the
Stingray
Stingray
might be
was a big time disc for me.
Yeah,
coming
that
from
seems
Ultimate.
like that makes sense. I think Stingray is the win there.
So
I like Stingray over a Meteor maybe.
The Stingray is going to be a little flippier than a Meteor. So I'm fine. I'm fine with both, honestly.
Okay.
Just because your Stingray is going to be so flippy that it's going to.
True.
But the Stingray was also. I have a Stingray downstairs that I have a hammer died on because if I couldn't get there with my polecat, I threw the Stingray if I wanted more distance on the hammer.
That's
so,
cool.
So Stingray, Meteor.
What it looks like kind of neutral now.
Yeah, neutral to overstable because I don't want it to be too neutral because I think that the Meteor.
I think a Hex.
Yeah, I was thinking Hex or yeah. I'm fine with the Hex.
Hex or Buzz SS.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go Buzz SS and a Meteor.
True, they're going to be too close. I like Hex. I like Hex.
Yeah, let's go Hex. And then putt and approach. I don't want to do a zone.
No.
Too shallow.
How about a Toro? About the same.
Pretty similar hand feel, yeah. I mean, if we're sticking with depth, I got to go with the classic. Coming from the Ultimate background myself. Just get a pig, dude. Like...
They like the thumb track. Thumb track's nice.
Yeah, thumb track so you can hold on, get some angle control, and also it's deep. Like you're going to be able to smash that thing on a forehand and know that it's fine. AVR X3 was my first one that I found, and it was also pretty good. But yeah, I would just stick with the pig. Pig is love, pig is life. So that's 8.
Yeah.
And then we have 2. Okay, so that's 8. So maybe we pull the meteor out in favor of putting 2 fairways and a distance driver in there. So fairway drivers, I'm going to go Cicada.
Cicada was going to be my bet. Yeah, Cicada's going to be my bet. And I think C-Line FD.
Okay.
Do you not like those two? They're maybe too close together. Ooh,
Yeah.
You know, what about a? I almost said Crave. Cicada and Crave are going to get in the way of each other probably.
Yeah, I think you're locking in on this like super neutral 7 speed right there. So I think we need to go like 1 tick over from there. I think you could go like.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
What about Stalker?
I think Stalker could be real good.
Because it has a wider hand feel in my mind. When I think of Stalker, I think of a wider disc as well.
I think Stalker could be good. I like that. I like this. So
I'm trying to think of another like.
Do you go like FD1?
Yeah.
Instead, like to take that step up from the FD.
How about Grackle?
I like Grackle. I think Grackle's a great choice. Yeah. So you get some push, and it lets them have some meat hookness to it.
Yeah. But they'll flip pretty easy without turning.
Yeah.
Typically, for me anyway.
Yeah, and then I would say, because I mean that'll still be like their most neutral to overstable disc, being the Grackle, which is really good. And then I would stick with the classic, and I'd put them on a trail.
Yeah, trail was my 100% recommendation for that spot.
So cool. Well, yeah, Andrew, that's our bag, man. Trail, Grackle, Cicada, and then you've got Pig, Hex, Stingray. Yep, that's 6. And then putting putter of choice, Envy, Luna, or Envy Pure Polecat. Bang. There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
That'll be fun. Definitely fun.
Ultimate.
Maybe hand that one to Marcus and bring him over to the dark side.
Yeah. Enjoy. So Deshaun asks, how do you know when your form changes / distance gains are locked in? I'm having some champagne problems right now. Yeah. When I throw certain discs I've had success with, they don't behave how I'm used to because I'm throwing farther, but it's inconsistent on when I actually get my new throw to work well. I'm curious when I should slot in new discs that fit my new throw more than my old one. So Brad, you were just kind of talking about this a little bit of probably could shave 2 strokes off. So when you're in the middle of a form change, how are you going through disc selection on the course, knowing that inconsistencies around the corner?
Well, I'll be honest. I feel like I make the changes too late. I'm always like, wow, I should have done that sooner. And maybe this is a bad way to look at it, but if I know that I've got these distance gains and changes locked in, I think you send it. I think you just replace them, and then you learn to do what you need to do. It's almost like a forcing function. Like, unless I use my new, better form, I'm not going to get the grace to do what it's going to do. And I think with pain, change occurs. So I think that's kind of like my look on it. I obviously don't think like go out and do field work one day and then like, oh, I got this new thing going, and then change your whole bag. But like, I think after like a couple, maybe. I feel like I wait months. I think months is the wrong answer. I think after you've replicated like on separate occasions, maybe like 3 or 4 times, maybe it's time to like just go ahead and you don't have to do it all at once. Like I'm not like altering all of my bag. I'm just like, okay, well, let's mess with like the 10, 11, 12 speed area and let me find something that kind of works. And then it's like, oh, trail and grace are a good combo for me. And then I'm just kind of like, okay, these should work. Now, like, how do I make them work? And then I just figure those out and then move on to the next thing. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, it's not like scientific, I guess, but I feel like I just wait too long. I think you can, at some point you have to just kind of commit to the change.
Yeah. I would say like to try to nail the heart of the question. How do you know when it's locked in? Because yeah, like it can feel really frustrating. As someone who, I get this a lot, like my distance changes are a special right now. I'm feeling like I'm hitting things more consistently regardless. So I was always afraid of distance drivers when making distance changes, because if I got a hold of them like I wanted to, it was a great shot. But if I didn't, it was horrific because it was just so weak in power. But I think for me, one of the biggest things that helps you feel like something's locked in for change is when you can focus on another part of your throw than what you've been working on or trying to fix, and that still sticks. So, for instance, if you're someone who has a lot of elbow drop and you're doing a ton of exercises, you're doing barrel drill, you're doing all this other different stuff to try to get that elbow drop to stop, and you're trying to keep that elbow up, keep a height, whatever, then you suddenly start focusing on your brace a little bit. If when you focus on your brace, your elbow drop is happening still because it's no longer the active thought, then you haven't locked in that change yet. So this is from personal experience. Yesterday I went out to the course and I was throwing, and something we found in field work was that I actually, if I got a hold of it, I could put in a significant amount of speed into my run up, and I was obliterating some discs. But the faster I went into that run up, my spray range went significantly higher. So like I had one that I ripped like 440 yesterday, felt great. It was immediately followed up by like a 335. And it's like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable putting that much speed into the shot, because if I'm playing on the Pro Tour next week and Ezra needs me to throw a 380 foot shot or 370 foot shot just right off the gut, and that's my spread, that's not a reliable throw. So if I slow it down, I don't have the 440 potential, but I do have 380 much more consistently, things like that. So I can stop focusing so much on, I can focus on the speed, and as long as I don't increase that threshold too much, everything else still sticks. So that would be my big piece, is making sure that like it's okay sometimes to push knowing that it's going to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what Brad's trying to get to as well, is like just send it, lock it in, give it a chance to run, because you're never, like, if you're trigger shy the whole time, you're never going to find out what your limits are, or you're not even going to find out like, oh, that is in there waiting for me.
Right.
So yeah, you just have to know sort of know when you can turn your brain off to something, because the best pros in the world are not thinking about things during their, like, they're not thinking about, I got to make sure my elbow clears and gets a little bit ahead and things like that. They're just like hit line, C line, smash, make bird.
Yeah, right. That's actually what you need to do. Just forget everything we just said. Remember that phrase. Yeah.
Hit line, C line, make bird. Hit line, smash line, make bird.
Yes.
So Timothy at Holy City Disciples asks, at my local course, and I understand that it's disciple, but you gotta lean into the spelling, disciples. Yeah. So at my local course, there are a couple of holes with dog legs left. So overstable right hand backhand shot makes sense. Okay. Dog leg left, overstable right hand backhand makes sense. Check. Yep. Problem is, overstability really has two flavors. The moderately overstable in my bag, that's the Trust and the Explorer, fly straight and then work left towards the end of the flight. But the really overstable stuff, like a Baobab, Justice, and Honor, tend to tilt into the hyperlink, crashing into the ground sooner, resulting in a straighter flight. Am I doing something wrong, or should we talk about overstability with more nuance? This is so true. Okay, so you got two different types of, I would say you have overstability from a disc, and you have overstability from a flight.
Yes.
And those are not made equal.
No.
So this is why sometimes, this is exactly why if you step up to a hole as a right-handed player and it moves left to right, some people are like, oh, let me just throw my zone on a forehand this is going to go great. And it just doesn't get there because it fades out too soon. Whereas the turnover backhand creates the same line, but it doesn't get to the ground as fast. So overstable discs want to lean into whatever you're doing with them.
Right.
So most often when players go to throw on this dogleg left hole, you're not usually throwing your Baobab or your Justice or your Honor flat. You're probably throwing it on Hyzer to match it. So it wants to lean into that angle even more. You talked about how the Explorer and the Trust go straight and then work towards left at the end of the flight. That's because I would say that the Trust is neutral to overstable, but not even that overstable. The Explorer is definitely not that overstable. They're sort of it's a pushing Hyzer.
Yeah.
So should we talk about overstable with more nuance, Brad?
Yes, because I think overstable means a lot of different things. Even when I'm talking about a disc, like I'm thinking about technically a Quake and a Firebird are both overstable, right?
Yeah.
But they're very different types of overstable, which is basically what you alluded to, right? So I do. I think, and you said it really well. There's the flight path you want to be more overstable, and what disc are you using? Are you using it? What level of overstability are you using of a disc? And then how are you throwing it too, as the third factor in my mind. I think that's probably one area I'm like starting to feel like I'm starting to improve, is understanding when to choose those different type of things. And even like what you said, what is a turnover backhand versus a big forehand? So no, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think we do need to talk about overstability with a little bit more nuance, because it's such a wide range. And I would say in the same thing as understability, I would say we probably should talk about that a little differently too.
Totally. Yeah.
Because it's such a wide. When we say neutral, we know what neutral means. And then we just have the two other spectrums on each side.
Yeah. And then you have the people who are like, neutral means stable.
Right.
So.
And stable means straight. But does it mean straight?
Yeah. That disc is stable. Okay. What does that mean? It's super straight, or is that
straight full finish?
Yeah, no, it is. You talk about a dogleg left, and Brad nailed it. I have a hole that it's like 280 feet, but the first 200 of it is a tunnel shot, like a tunnel shot. And so I watch so many people step up with these overstable discs, trying to throw them straight or flat to get out of this gap, and then they smash it into a tree on the right, or they don't get out of the gap, things like that. Yeah. I throw Precious Child on a ton of Hyzer. Precious Child is the flippiest putter I have in my bag right now. But I throw it on a ton of Hyzer, and what does it do? It stands up to flat, and then at the end of its flight, it falls back, and it fades. And it's like, if I told you I needed to go left, but I throw the flippiest putter in my bag, you would be like, is this bag just super beef? No, it's manipulating the flight. I get an overstable flight out of an understable disc because you can change those variables around. So, Dill Mill DG for Brad as an FD thrower. Have you had any experience throwing the Innova Dark Rebel? I've heard it's supposed to be the old FD mold, and I'm not willing to pay money for an Innova made FD. So what do you guys think? Which I'll say as a quick aside, Dylan, not willing to pay money for an Innova made FD. In my mind, that means you're not willing to pay money to secondhand markets, because if you're buying an Innova Dark Rebel, you are quite literally paying money for an Innova made FD.
Yeah. It's the same. I don't, I threw one, I think I threw one. It's been a while since I have thrown one. I didn't see a ton of difference, to be honest with you. I think just buy an FD. I think what people are saying, and I'm probably guilty of this too, when I'm saying like old Innova made FD, I just want like this like very neutral to a little bit of flip on an FD, and at the end of the day, just like buy a new S-line FD and just work it a little bit. So I'm trying to think, maybe the Dark Rebel is still cheaper than buying an S-line FD. I think it probably is. So I think you're fine there too. I really don't think it matters a whole lot. Now, I haven't thrown them side by side for months at a time to tell you that, but It didn't blow my mind when I threw it because I don't remember it like a whole lot. So I think if you're really just wanting like this nice juicy FD, and you can probably find one at a local used bin. Probably not, because people are keeping them in their bag. They're not throwing them in the used bin, but you might be able to find them there, or just get one and work it for a while. C line takes a minute, but the S line beats in pretty quickly. I mean, over months, right? Depending on how much you play, and that's really what you want. Like you want the season, you want the spice. You don't necessarily care about where the disc is made.
Yeah, for sure. Sean asks, is it okay that I have a mostly stable to overstable bag? Here we go. Just keep working on my form. I throw around 275 feet, both backhand and forehand, and my bag is more on the stable side. My main drivers are the Clash Cookie and the Discmania CD1. I'm unfamiliar with CD1. I've never owned one until recently. And then I can hit both of these dies or flip. Should I be looking to add some more understable discs to my bag to add distance, or keep playing with the discs I have and continue working on improving my form? Thanks from a Charlotte Woods player who finds himself in Slovakia, where courses are more open.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
what a jump.
Yeah. Can I say something? And
yeah.
I'm telling on myself.
Okay.
By saying this. Is it okay that you have a mostly stable to overstable bag and keep working on your form? No, because you're going to be, in my opinion, no, because you're not going to be able to focus on the things that are important, in my opinion. You're going to be working against a variable of like these very overstable discs to try to get distance versus like improving your form, trying to throw something neutral and figure out where your flaws are and then improve from there. That's my opinion. Second, I don't think you're actually hyzer flipping these discs. I think there's from someone who made this mistake when talking about it a lot, there's a very big difference of hyzer flipping a disc and just like the way you're pulling across your body, the disc is like popping up versus hyzer flipping. Does that make sense, Robbie? Totally. I think there's a big delineation between those two things that I didn't really notice until like maybe the last 6 months, if I'm being 100, and I'm telling on myself because I should know better. But when you see someone like anyone with a higher arm speed that throws farther, seeing them hyzer flip, or if you even watch the pros in a good shot of their discs, like it literally comes, you see it come out of their hand like this for a minute, and then it literally raises up, but it's still pushing and maintains speed. What we're seeing, if you're pulling across your body, is when you're releasing out of your hand, the disc is, here's a Hades right here. It is we're just literally forcing the disc to the right. So we're seeing the disc kind of like slingshot right, and that is not a hyzer flip. Am I correct, Robbie? You can publicly shame me if I'm wrong here.
No, I think that the amount of people who try to convince me that they can flip things over the internet is insane. Like it is, yeah, like, we had this conversation early on. Like it is people. Yeah. If you throw on a natural anhyzer, you didn't flip something, but if you throw on a natural anhyzer, it can, like you said, come out of your hands so fast that you think that it got up to like because it came out flat. But it didn't hyzer flip. You just may have felt like you started it on hyzer, and by the time it's the same thing with like people who are like, "Oh, I don't air bounce." No, like it bounces so fast out of your hand that you don't see the air bounce happen to where you throw it here and it goes zoop and auto corrects itself. So you have to look for those signs. And I think to me, and I'm not, Sean, we're not trying to like shame you here by any means, but.
This is a public service announcement.
Yeah, if you're throwing 275 and you're hyzer flipping, I'm not familiar with the CD1. I have literally held one recently for the first time. So, but I am very familiar with the Cookie. And the Cookie, I don't think is a disc that like...
It's a T-bird.
People are just naturally hyzer flipping very often. And so I would think that you're throwing on much more of a, but that's where throwing something to really lean into the question. Should you put something understable in your bag? Yeah, sure. Like, because then you're going to see if you're throwing it on Anheuser, then if you put something like a Underworld in your bag, if you're Hyzer flipping the cookie and you throw your Underworld the same way that you throw that cookie and you are Hyzer flipping it, I would be shocked if you do not throw that Underworld 330, 340. Because it's just going to stand up. It is going to Hyzer flip, go all the way up, and it's going to carry. What the reality might be is that if you throw something like an Underworld in there and you are throwing it on Anheuser, then it's going to come out of your hand and burn. Like it's just going to go straight into a roller. So this is where, and I tell people quite often, when you learn to throw understable discs, you'll always be able to step over to overstable discs.
Correct.
If you start with overstable discs and you have to hard flex and throw them on Annie or throw them hard flat, things like that, you just lose access without having to learn a brand new skill to the other side.
Yeah, I agree. And then, 9.5 -1.2 is the CD1. So you're definitely seeing, when you think you're Hyzer flipping, I'm just assuming where the CD1 has a tick of understability at first, it's allowing you to pull it across your body and kind of pull it over to that Anheuser side of things. And that's what you're seeing as like a quote unquote Hyzer flip. And like, I think the best way to see a Hyzer flip is like throw something understable, like really understable on actual Hyzer. You see it come out at a 30-degree angle or something. You see it literally spin. It's like a spin up. It's not like a shoot over to the right. It's a spin up. And then, especially if it's understable, you'll see it just like slowly pushing to the right. That's how you know you've like Hyzer and kept the rotation up versus just like something pushing to the right, stalling out and fading back to the left. Yeah. Very, very different flight completely.
And I'll say that I've watched a lot of people throw. I get sent videos quite often, whether people are sending them through lessons or they're just like in my Instagram DMs, like, hey, take a look at my form, please. I watch. I may not answer, but I'm watching. So feels rude as a side note when people are paying for form reviews. When someone sends me like an Instagram DM, and they're like, "Can you look at this for free?" It's like, have to value all the people. So sorry everyone, but I have probably seen less than 20 people. It feels like, and that that may be hyperbolic, but I'm reaching for a number here. But it's a small number of people that I think consistently throw nose down that throw under 300 feet. So if you're throwing nose up, that also makes it way harder to flip stuff.
Yeah,
just a reality. Like I lost my stitch trail yesterday.
Oh no!
Because I was throwing it, trying to read wind, and I was like, I have two cicadas in the bag right now. Threw one cicada, nose down into a headwind, and it just burned. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me go to my more overstable cicada. So I threw it nose down, bang, and it carried, but it still ended up burning over. And I was like, okay, I'll throw stitch. Here we go. So I threw stitch, threw it nose up, and it caught the wind nose up, and then just immediately turned into a tilt, faded out over into this fence, like just way off into the great beyond. And I was like, R.I.P. Sorry, my friend.
Can we have a moment of silence for your stitch trail and also my blue E-Dug, which I also lost this week? All right, thank you all for your moment of silence. We wish them well.
But yeah, so Sean, I hope this doesn't feel like a roast session, but truly, like we said, an eye-opening because I think that you're certainly not the first, and you will not be the last. Of the faster we can identify what we're actually doing, the faster we can improve. So
it seems like you
try
want
some
to
understable
improve.
stuff. Yeah,
understable will tell you a lot about your life. I think my eyes were open when I started throwing like an uplink, which is why we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and that was episode 2.
Yeah, that's episode 2. We're now at 153, I believe.
Yeah. So it's a good time, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it's going to wrap it up for today's questions. But if you got questions, feel free to send them over to there'll be a link in the description below. You can head out to the forums, submit those there, and should be a good time. But Brad, speaking of good times, what's new in the warehouse?
All right, so the time is here. The time is now. We've been waiting for the pre-releases to go out for the Fission Trail, the Plasma Dimension, the Trance, and the Eclipse Insanity. So those are all live. Should be live now. We did have some extra, so they should be live on the site now. So make sure you jump over and grab those. If you had a pre-order, we shipped them out today for you. So very excited. I've not thrown the Fission Trail. They're so domey. They are pop tops.
Really?
Yeah, they're insane. So I might have to throw one. I don't want to take any from you all, so we'll just see. I can't remember if the guys threw one or not for a review, but I'm going to have to try to throw one because they just, I don't know. They're so dummy. They're so light. I don't know what's going to happen with those, but very cool. There's a few of the Robbie C stamp discs left, but most of them sold out. So thank you all for that. Especially, the Ringer Top Zones were gone in no time at all.
Yeah, the Ringer Top Zones, I checked that night and they were gone.
Yeah, so but working on something special there. Maybe we'll bring him back, Robbie. Maybe we'll bring him back with a twist. I don't really know yet, but we'll keep you all updated on that.
If you didn't get one of those though, and you want to try a Ringer Top Zone, the Vessels.
Yep, Vessels
live on the site
with a cool otter stamp. Very cute otters on there. So they feel great. They feel really, really good. I believe still made by Discraft, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It feels like they kind of have that Tour Swirl look, but with glitter in them.
Oh,
so yeah, very interesting. They're all allegedly the same
Vex plastic.
Yeah, Vex, but they all are a little different. So very cool. Speaking of new plastic, Zero Pro plastic came out in the Peak, the Pure, and the Hope this week. So a base plastic that's allegedly more durable. So if you like the feel of a base plastic, but you don't want to dink it up as quickly and replace them, so they kind of came up with the Zero Pro. They feel really good. Hunter grabbed the Peak, which he's loving right now, and immediately I'm taking this to put it in my bag. So he's a big fan of that one. Let's see. Discmania, we have the Gavin Babcock Discmania Challenge CD1. We also have the C-Line MD5, which that disc is, speak of beef and overstable, that disc is definitely that. So if you need an overstable mid-range in your life, that's probably a good one to check out. Let's see. Halo Star It. That might be a instant bag for me, by the way.
I love it.
I'm going to have to try that one. I had the Salamander in there for a minute. It just wasn't quite doing what I wanted it to do. And my Orange FD is just not quite flippy enough to where it super Hyzer flip turn easy, or just lets me turn it over super easy. Still has some bite left in it, so that might be an instant bag. There's also a Halo Wombat 3. The stamp on that one's great, by the way. Just a wombat in the middle, just hanging out. Very cool. Also, there's sub box. We open up sub boxes when you're listening to this, so we're getting on more of a central processing time for all of these, whereas before they would kind of process and ship out various times during the month. We're kind of isolating one time, and then we open up boxes mid-month, so you'll see those go live, so make sure you check those out. And as always, make sure you're checking out Robbie's channel for some tips, tricks, and some challenges, so that's a good time. And yeah, I think as always, there's a lot of new discs going on, and the Vessel and the Zero Pro plastic and MD5 we're talking about. So don't forget about foundation care. You can try these all out risk-free for 30 days. If you don't love it, you can send it back, and and we'll send you out some credit to buy something that you do know and love, or try out something else. So as always, we appreciate you all so much. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to someone very special.
Hey, do it.
His name's Brian. I think it's Heki. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name. Longtime listener, just a good dude. Was chatting with him over email a couple days ago, and just want to say, Brian, what's up? Appreciate you greatly. Thanks for being a fan. Also, we are 68 subs away from 2,000 subs on our In the Bag channel. We're just a year old on there. When we moved over a little over a year ago, Robbie, from the main Foundation podcast channel. Appreciate you all giving us growth. If you're an audio listener, we love you. If you have a YouTube account, just go over and subscribe for us. You can get some updates there. Sometimes we do some fun challenges and stuff that you might want to see anyway. So we're only 68 away. We are doing a giveaway at 2,000 subscribers. So when we hit that count, the next episode we are going to do a giveaway. So let's get there. Appreciate y'all greatly. And if it's good,
Keep it in the bag. We'll see you guys
We'll
next
see.
week.